I think there's many different kinds of benefits. Particularly with the way that Dubai is trying to position itself, and to some degree already has positioned itself and established itself as a global hub. I think that'll obviously give Dubai's reputation a boost. I think what I want to focus on is in terms of job creation. I think we've seen studies that talk about somewhere near 300,000 jobs being created as a result of the Expo. That's about 20% of the total number of jobs that's currently in the market. So clearly we're going to see quite an increase in the number of jobs over the next 5 years as we get close to the event. And with that, all of the economic expansion benefits that come along. Hospitality, tourism, leisure, these are the obvious ones. Conglomerates as well, who are involved in all different types of the economy here, also expect to see a lot of benefits. Transport and aviation, obviously, the likes of Emirates and Etihad, that's just going to give them a boost because of the 30 million or so tourists that are going to come from across the world for the event. Construction as well is an obvious one, just because of the scale of and the size of the venue that's being constructed for the event. So, more or less you'll see benefits all across sectors, and I think as we get closer to the event, you'll see some of the smaller companies start to benefit. Right now it's more likely that the bigger ones, the ones that are involved in infrastructure, are the ones who will see the immediate benefits, but later on that's going to trickle down to the smaller companies. This is where I think it gets a little bit tricky, in the sense that when you have these tremendous increases in growth and employment in terms of the average tenures of the typical employee here, that's going to reflect on the end of service benefit gratuity that they get paid out. I think as we continue to see that growth and we continue to see the expats who come from all across the world stay in Dubai longer and longer, that's going to put a lot of pressure in terms of companies' liabilities. And I think that is something that to some extent doesn't really get recognized. I think a lot of companies are not accounting for this the way that they should be. They're not taking it into consideration, and they're probably not aware of the risks that are involved. So obviously growth is very positive, but the liability that has to get paid out in terms of the gratuity is something that also needs to be taken into consideration. And under the current regime, companies are not really doing anything about it. They're commingling it with their working capital, and that's going to continue to put stress on the balance sheet in the years to come. Well, I think talking about something like end of service benefits, it's important to remember that if you look at any developed market or most emerging markets, pension assets tend to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, institutional pools of money that are available in the market, and they've helped develop the capital markets. They give depth and breadth to fixed income and equity instruments, and I think for the most part in the UAE that's almost completely absent, because there is no pension regime. As I mentioned, this gratuity is commingled with working capital, so it's not being invested in any way, shape, or form. So I think an event like this, where we talk about liabilities, where we talk about developing the fixed income market, I think it's a good venue where we can talk about this very important kind of pool of investments that are out there that's currently not participating in the market and in the development of the capital markets here. And I think it's a good opportunity to kind of continue to raise awareness about this.